Hello to all the dear viewers. Today, let's continue following the emotional story of Linda. Quang woke up in a dim room with only the distant sound of birds singing and the gentle rustle of the wind in the countryside. Every sharp pain from his right leg made him squirm, his body exhausted and weak like never before. His right leg was tightly bandaged, wrapped with dressings, and his pale skin was a clear sign of the battle he never thought he would face. He thought about his mother, about Linda, the ones who must be anxiously wondering where he was and what his condition was. In Quang's heart, a sense of helplessness overwhelmed him. Everything around him seemed blurry, like a thick black curtain blocking his future. Linda, would she have the strength to stand firm in this sea of anxiety with no sign showing that he would return? Would their love be strong enough to overcome this tough trial? Everything happened so unexpectedly, and Quang realized that not only was he facing pain, but it was also a long journey they would have to go through together. Linda sat quietly in the stillness of the room, her anxiety rising like uncontrollable waves. She thought about Quang, the man she loved, but now, where was he? Was he safe? Though he couldn't be with her at that moment, she didn't blame him. Her heart just broke with each hopeless second of waiting. All her emotions seemed to spiral into a never-ending vortex, the silence in his absence leaving her feeling emptier than ever, unable to confide in anyone. Linda tried to hold on to her faith, knowing there was nothing she could change right now. She reassured herself that maybe everything would be fine, but deep inside, the fear kept growing, making it hard for her to breathe. It felt like a tangled thread, with thoughts overlapping each other. All she could feel was silence and exhaustion enveloping her. Suddenly, her phone rang, a familiar sound cutting through the silence. Linda looked up at the screen, and her heart sank when she saw it was a call from Quang's mother. The anxious voice from the other end of the line made her feel like everything was falling apart. Quang's mother informed her that more than a month had passed without any news of him. She was so worried that she had tried calling him, but there was no answer. The anxiety surged, and finally, she decided to call Linda, hoping for some clue. Linda listened, and everything became clearer in her mind. Quang hadn't returned from his business trip, and since then, no one knew where he was. The truth began to unfold, but Linda's anxiety was just beginning, trying to stay calm. Linda reassured Quang's mother that maybe Quang was just busy with work and would call back soon. His mother seemed somewhat comforted by her words, but as soon as the call ended, Linda couldn't sit still. A vague sense of fear consumed her, making her feel like she had to do something right away. Without hesitation, Linda picked up her phone and called Quang. But this time, the other end was only silent. She called again, but there was no signal. The repeated calls yielded no results. Fear began to rise in her heart, and with each silent moment, Linda's heart seemed to beat louder, heavier. She couldn't understand what was happening. With every failed call, Linda became more certain that something was wrong. A strong intuition told her that Quang was in danger, and she couldn't stay still. Her determination rose within her, and nothing would stop her from seeking the truth. Linda told herself, no matter what happens, she would wait and hope that one day Quang would come back and they would face everything together. Quang's mother could no longer sit still. Determined to take action, she decided to set out to search for her son with Linda, a companion she knew would never give up, by her side. The two of them climbed onto her motorbike, beginning their journey. The harsh morning sunlight beat down on the road, making everything dry and sweltering. Although the path was familiar, every step they took felt like walking into a deep, dark hole with no light, no way out. Quang's mother looked up at the sky thinking about her son, her heart full of worry, yet also overflowing with hope. The mixed thoughts in her mind made her unable to stop asking, even though she knew that things were slipping further and further away. They stopped at places where Quang had worked, places that whenever she thought of them, brought the warmth of him back. But now, at each of these spots, all she received were shakes of the head, unfamiliar gazes. Nobody knew where he was. A sense of disappointment rose within her, like a wave pushing all hope farther away. Still, she couldn't stop asking. The question kept slipping from her lips. Where is he? The answer was just empty shakes of the head. It was as if Quang had completely vanished, leaving no trace. Continuing their journey, they passed through old roads, houses Quang had often visited, but everything seemed to have no trace of him. Quang's mother couldn't understand. The answers from the neighbors were always the same. We haven't seen him. Every time she heard that, it felt like a bucket of cold water had been thrown in her face. It seemed like everything was collapsing before her eyes. She tried to hold herself together, but the corners of her eyes burned with a hint of moisture. It felt like a painful joke, and then the unbearable fatigue began to spread. They had been traveling for so long, asking so many people, yet still had no answers. Quang's mother lowered her head. Her eyes darkened with exhaustion. Her skin cracked under the harsh sunlight. Linda walked quietly beside her, saying nothing. She understood her feelings and knew that any words of comfort would only make things heavier. They kept moving, not knowing where they were headed. Quang's mother began to feel like she had lost everything, with nothing left to hope for. She looked at Linda's face, seeing a hint of empathy, a touch of pain. Both of them were silent, not wanting to speak. The exhaustion was evident on Quang's mother's face, and Linda's silence reflected the growing disappointment in both their hearts. They had passed through familiar roads, reached the homes that had once been Quang's warm places, but now all that was left was the silence with no trace. Quang's mother wondered in her heart, "Does anyone still remember Quang? Will anyone help me find my son?" But she found no answer. The feelings of fear and helplessness grew stronger, making it almost hard to breathe. She had no strength left to speak. All that remained was the wind blowing through her gray hair and the motorbike speeding down long, endless roads with no knowing where it would lead them. Quang's mother thought to herself, no matter how tired, no matter how disappointed, she couldn't stop searching for her son. As long as there was a spark of hope, she would keep going. Time passed, and darkness slowly descended, forcing them to stop by the roadside, exhausted and hopeless. Quang's mother could no longer bear it. Everywhere she went, every question she asked only deepened her fear. No one knew anything about Quang. No one had seen him for the past 3 days. It felt as if her son had completely vanished into thin air, as if he had never existed. Maybe something happened to him. Really, something happened to him. She sighed, one hand clutching her face, unwilling for Linda to see her weakness, but tears fell despite her efforts to hold them back. Linda sat beside her, filled with worry. She understood the pain of Quang's mother and also the desperation of not being able to do anything to help. But she couldn't let her continue, like this couldn't let her fall. She tried to find words of encouragement, though she herself wasn't sure what more she could do except offer words of comfort. Quang is strong, he will come back. Nothing's happened to him. I'm sure of it. Everything will be fine. Linda said, her voice gentle, yet resolute, even though her heart was in turmoil as well. Quang's mother didn't respond, but her gaze, though clouded and confused, still held a tiny glimmer of hope. She still couldn't believe her son had run into trouble. Quang was always able to protect himself. He might face difficulties, but she didn't think he'd get into something this dangerous. Despite the search yielding no results, despite everything being unclear, she didn't want to give up. After all, she still held on to the belief that Quang would return. Maybe not right now, maybe sometime in the near future, but she knew with her love for him and the strength of hope, she would never give up.